fighting a child, falling down a staircase, fucking on Jeff Jarrett a little bit. RIP to Jerry Jarrett, all love to Jeff. I'm glad he figured out how to get over.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome to Muscle Memory. My name is Malcolm, and today I'm here with a very special guest. But this Friday is going to be even more of a special day. It's Jimmy Llyod's 25th birthday party. It's happening in Las Vegas, Nevada on February 17th, live on Fight TV Plus. Today I'm having the guy that's going to be facing in a death match. It's Effy. How are you, man?
Yeah, well, now that you've brought that up, I'm figuring it out. I'm very good. I've had time off. I haven't done anything really Effy related besides like being on Twitch or doing things like that. In almost a month, like 3 weekends is a pretty long time for me to not be doing anything. So my return match is now going to be against Jimmy Llyod on his birthday in Las Vegas. Expect only the greatest, most weird, wild deathmatch shit you've ever seen.
I'm ready for this. Like, how would you describe Effy for someone who hasn't like watched an Effy match before, but like they're very interested in watching you perform maybe this on Friday or any other match coming up?
I've tried to reflect on that a little more to figure it out, because for me personally, like if you're the fan who's only seen a little bit of what I do or seen, maybe a match or something, and you have this idea that I'm kind of a floaty, very homosexual character, I am, but I also have these moments where something goes a little awry and I get to a point of violence. And I think that you can look back at a few matches, and throughout my career, I've found myself in some of the most dangerous situations, if you will, and I haven't backed down even a little bit. So it's one of those things where maybe people think I'm just this big rainbows and sparkles try to get a kiss baby boy, and I am, but I think the people that know the deeper layers of Effy, I'm going to be leaning into that a little more over the next few weeks, because like it starts with Jimmy Llyod and it keeps going into crazier and crazier matches. So I'm not going back in with any caution, so to say. I've had time to go to the gym, I've had time to rest, I've been sleeping, I've been walking the dogs. Like a little sense of normalcy makes it easier to go to that place, because you have to balance the pendulum on both sides. And so I did a big swing the other way just to see where we were at,
For sure. And honestly, if I look at like your career right now and just seeing like the landscape of independent wrestling, personally, I would put you at like the top of like the cream of the crop of the indie guys right now. So in your opinion, like where would you put like yourself and like other names of like who's like the top echelon of like independent wrestling?
Well, I also find myself in a really weird position where now, as an adult man, my sort of aversion to doing anything television related or cable television related or anything really that's kind of got corporate funding in it, just to see if it was possible to sort of live on the outskirts, live like a little bit Terry Funk, a little bit Bruiser Brody, where you're kind of just hopping from town to town. You're showing up where you want. Someone said to me that it doesn't matter if it looks like the poster was made on MS Paint. If they've got the money, Effy will show up if he's got the date. So kind of keeping this sense of free-spiritedness and sort of agency over my art, while also, especially in the last few years, selling more tickets, getting more over, having demand for people to come out and see me. It's balancing like giving the crowd what they want and what they need in those moments too. So it's a strange position to be in. I don't have any sort of what do they call that in the trapeze? A net. Yeah. So, for a lot of us, I'm very pushy for other indie wrestlers that are at this level that are doing this to take any money they can get. I tell them I'm crazy. I said, I've painted myself into a particular corner, but I'm going to fight out of that corner and show that it is possible. It is real. And especially now, a lot of these shows are getting better views on clips and on TikTok and on, different platforms. It's going to be the next decade that sort of says, we're in this age of social media and kind of world unrest. How do we capitalize on that to keep bringing fresh faces to wrestling and to keep bringing, our own sort of spin on the art? When you look at the top around me right now, I'm a regular GCW. This isn't something where there's a signed contract. This isn't something where, I'm being forced upon people. If you come out to GCW shows, there's excitement for most of the main roster members wherever we're showing up. And that's been Canada, Japan. They go down to Mexico all the time. I haven't made that trip yet, but going out to like Las Vegas or Los Angeles this weekend, this isn't a home territory for us. And we've sort of made it another home in the belt buckle of going out and saying like, this isn't going to be advertiser friendly. This isn't going to be, specifically tailored to a corporation or a set of rules, but we have guys like Jordan Oliver, who just won the J Cup and the Jersey Championship belt this weekend. You know, guys out here like Speedball, who are able to do sort of any match anywhere. And if people see the match I had with Speedball last year at Mania, it was a very unique match. And seeing Speedball be able to work with anyone and encourage anyone to keep getting better at wrestling, having someone around like that is like, it's really important to the scene, you know. Not to stop naming people, there's a lot of indie wrestlers out there, but there was sort of a moment, you know, a few years back where a lot of the top indie guys got bought up pretty quick. And especially with AEW coming along and there being an opportunity for more money, you're going, oh, yeah, of course, everybody needs to go. But it sort of left the indies without any elders, so to say, on it, without anybody to pace things, without anybody to say, hey, I've done this for 10 years. Here's how this works. And so I think it's kind of, last year for me was a lot of star-studded matchups. This year, I want to bring out those new people in the indies and have as big of a platform as I can to sort of give my rub and help them, while also saying, you know, I am still Effy, and if you can't figure me out, that's okay. But I'm going to get the job done. I understand the assignment, so to say.
I love it. I love it. And like you mentioned, like this Friday won't be that like advertiser friendly. Obviously, it's a death match. It's Jimmy Lloyd's 25th birthday, which weird way to spend your birthday, honestly.
Not for Jimmy though. This is a tradition for him, and I'm going, why would you want to book a show on your birthday? It's you know, I book shows, Jimmy books shows. It's not easy for me. I don't know how Jimmy does it, but he loves doing this. He loves putting on a show, showing people how he lives, how he celebrates, how he fights. And I know it will be a wild, strange jump back into wrestling. You're not going to get a regular exhibition match as I return to the ring with Jimmy Lloyd. People misunderstand and underestimate Jimmy Llyod in a lot of ways. You know, I mean, he has experience in Hollywood, being in films. He has experience at CZW, at GCW, at ICW. The man is a world-renowned deathmatch wrestler, and people don't see how well he can make things happen and how strong Jimmy's hand may be. So I'm now looking at someone where I've faced him before. I faced him in Emo Fight. In that kind of match, I faced him in a match where we had our asses out in barbed wire, and the lead singer of Wheatus tweeted about it, which was fun. But I know Jimmy has yearned for a real violent encounter between the two of us, and he's been by my side, you know, this whole year and the years before. It's good to get to go at it with your friends and sort of say, we know each other already. How can we keep expanding on this?
For sure, for sure. And how do you prep for like a death match? Like, it's like that's not your normal wrestling match. I know you've been wrestling for a while, but like you've had these like more bloodier stipulation matches before in GCW. But how do you prep for a match where pretty much anything can happen?
I described it recently as all day, you know, you're going to get shot out of a cannon, and like until you're shot out of the cannon, you're not going to be thinking about much else than like, I'm going to be ammunition later. And there's sort of that preparation level. You want to be as safe as possible. You want to give the fans what they want. You want to show up prepared and ready. But also, if you just sit around and think about it too much, it's going to be even worse. So it's always been about working with the right people in deathmatch, and also sort of committing fully to what you're doing, because the people who wince and move away or change their mind halfway through or in the middle of a death match, that's where injuries are going to happen. And, you know, I think looking at Jimmy, we are chaotic together as well as separate, but we also know how to do this in a way that, you know, we're still going to be able to celebrate his birthday, I hope. Yeah. My partner, though, we just got engaged last week on his birthday.
Congratulations.
Tail ended this. Thank you. And he messaged Jimmy directly and said, please don't disfigure him. So, you know, it's nice to have somebody in your corner, but it does seem like it could read in wrestling like a rib or a taunt, and I could come home a little worse for wear. But I've survived a lot of things in wrestling so far. Throw it at me.
For sure, for sure. If Jimmy's watching this right now, what do you have to say to him?
I would say to Jimmy that I hope that he is not distracted by the birthday festivities. You know, if you've ever been around Jimmy, Jimmy's usually having to multitask. He's doing a lot more than people think he is. So I want to make sure when he gets in front of me, he realizes I want to get the victory on Jimmy on his birthday. He's a 25-year-old who's been doing this for almost a decade. And I'm now, 32 and feeling at my physically prime. So let's really go toe to toe. Let's focus in. Let's give the people what they want.
Oof. Those are some fighting words. I'm prepared to see it. How did you spend your 25th birthday? Because I mean, this is his. Did you wrestle on yours?
Oh God, no.
It was before.
You know what? Maybe I did. No, because that was 2015. So I would have been in the middle of a year to 2 years of doing matches.
Yeah.
I probably did do it on my birthday. I didn't meet my partner until I was 26. So if I wasn't booked to wrestle, I probably was looking for wrestling. I imagine I did. I remember one year specifically though, where like I kind of had to shift my birthday because the passage of time, what a great mispleasure. But other people were so excited it was my birthday that I was like, it was giving me anxiety to take their joy and take their celebration. And I sort of had to put that to the side and be like, you know what? The birthday's going to be a thing. Let's have fun on the birthday. But I always tell people to do what they want on their birthday, because it does seem like we have a lot of planner friends who want parties and great dinners and meetups. And sometimes I want like a Sigourney Weaver movie on the couch.
Amazing. And to move out, like just like the GCW Violence and Suffering show that's happening on Friday, I want to talk about some other stuff as well. But the first thing I gotta say is congratulations. You mentioned it already, but you got engaged. Like that's huge.
It is. I've got to figure out the ring situation for me because I will lose a ring. So we're working on that. But yeah. He keeps joking that he goes, it's so heteronormative that you have to announce everything. And I was like, baby, just let's have a little celebration and have a moment. And I brought up the idea of a wedding registry, and he seemed to want to go a little more public. But we didn't even take a picture together when we did it. I'm so dumb. And I was like, oh, here we go. Yeah, I've got to take a picture with him to celebrate the occasion.
You definitely should. Well, if you don't mind sharing, like, what was like the story going into that? Like, what was the story of like the entire engagement? Like, why you decided like whenever you asked that was the day?
When we got together, there's always been certain milestones that we've hit. And now, we're legally domestic partners. I use his health insurance, but he was like, you got to at least make it look official to other people around me. Like, I want other people around me to know that. And I said, all right, that's fine. And I even asked him earlier, I was like, if I'm doing this on your birthday, if that was part of your gifts, he said, no, that would be fine. And in my head, I'm going like, oh, we're going to stack holidays. The only mistake I made was I got him a Valentine's Day cake. And he was like, you don't get the holiday cake for your birthday when the holiday is next to it. You get a different cake. I didn't get a different cake. I was going to propose to him on a hike with the dogs on Friday morning on the actual birthday. And he said, no, it's like Christmas Eve. I get a present tonight. Everything else was delayed. That's the present he ended with.
I mean, that's a pretty good present though. I mean,
I just did it on the couch in my matching sweatpants short combo.
I saw the picture.
A nice casual way to cement things. We'll figure out the ceremony, and if he's willing to do a hot tag in an easy multi-man match, maybe,
Yeah. Wrestling wedding, or kind of a little different, because the wrestling wedding
there's going to have to be multiples, but I can't get away with having a life milestone like this and not booking a show around it. I've got to keep up with Jimmy Llyod.
For sure. And like actually of course. And like this May, you have a show, Big Gay Brunch, is coming to the UK. And there was a video last year of you saying like you wanted to fight this prime minister in a steel cage. So is there any UK like celebrities, politicians you want to fight this time?
Yeah, I mean, like there's a lot, but they also have these weird libel laws. I think in America you could say who you want to fight, but like there's sort of, I understand why the Brits that came over here sort of got a little put off and said, some of you are a little hoity-toity. The new British scene, the people that are younger, the people even up to like, below my parents' age, there's a new Britain forming. But above that, they are clinging on for life with some of these old, crazy conservative policies and terrible things being forced into law and no general election. So I hope we can keep sort of emboldening that punk rock spirit when we do the brunch in Liverpool, which is like, I've got a lot going on right now, and I sort of just took 3 weeks off, so I'm jumping back in, and I'm booking an LA Big Gay Brunch. We go to LA Saturday for GCW, and the next time we come back is for WrestleMania season, The Collective, Big Gay Brunch taking place before the first day of WrestleMania. It's going to be a pretty wild, crazy show, but now bringing it overseas, there's these like additional precautions that I'm having to take to understand the scene better, to see where it needs the most assistance and who needs to be brought up and put in the right positions. It's a lot to take on, but I'm sort of the mindset of like, well damn, somebody's got to do this, let's go. And I haven't been able to rent an office and get a team to do this everywhere yet, like NXT, but I think as you see the expansion of wrestling and just live events, people are able to find out about things easier that are outside of the wrestling bubble. And I hope that, the more we keep showing up with these LGBTQ talent, the more kind of we control the scene instead of them, If your back don't hurt, I can't take directions from you. That's part of, it's a fatal flaw in the money-making scheme, but I'm an honest man, and I'm a little bit of a a bratty little boy, but it's given me strength, you know?
Yeah, of course.
You got to tell them, yeah, if your back doesn't hurt like mine, I don't know if I can trust your ideas.
How busy is like a week in like the life of Effy? Like I feel like you have so many different things going on. Like, you have like a podcast and Twitch and wrestling and a lot. Like what's like your week look like?
It's it's been a constant battle of sort of knowing I need to schedule myself in pretty strategic ways, and also hating having any kind of schedule, but it's sort of got a rhythm to it now that it's disrupted sometimes you got to go into Vegas a day early, sometimes a flight gets delayed, but when I'm here it's sort of a switch on and switch off. Luckily, my partner doesn't really, he understands wrestling completely. He could explain it to you like a hypothesis in a paper in college, but he doesn't really care about it. So I kind of come home and it's like, we have a very equal relationship. I've got to make sure I'm holding my end of the bargain. I'm constantly trying to make time for the gym and for myself and for my dogs and for him and chores, while also making sure I'm maximizing when I'm not in the ring for those 10 to 20 minutes at an event. How else can I be Effy that keeps me afloat and keeps me supported? So yeah, it gets a little hectic. I'm getting better at calendars, but I have also found out that if I write things down first, I am far more likely to remember them, even if they're added digitally later. And I'm trying to answer emails, but some of those emails are so fucking dumb. I can't answer all these emails.
What's the worst email?
It's just over and over again. And here we are, we're interviewing, and you have a YouTube page up already, but there's a lot of people who are starting a podcast in the next few months and just want to record me talking. And I'm like, I gotta know when and where this is coming out, and if anyone's ever heard it before I jump on it. And that's, I found myself last year, if you look at the schedule, it's like, this doesn't even make sense. This is crazy. I found myself realizing how I could protect my energies better and who I was giving things to, and sort of seeing how many tickets, people were saying we came to see Effy and we paid to see Effy, and saying, look, there's a full-on version of this you can get, or I could just come in and do my duties. And it's not a disrespect to anyone or disrespect to the fans. They know what to expect of me, and kind of just holding everybody accountable to treat me a little better. And then I don't have to worry about all the little things that drain you out and leave you a little less than optimal once you actually get to the show.
For sure. Like, I want to loop back and talk about like that death match coming up, and I want to mention like what's like been your craziest death match wrestling story.
I mean, I go back to the first time me and Nick Gage fought for the GCW championship, and he was genuinely pissed off that this out of nowhere, who the fuck is Effy, was coming to take his belt off, and I had strong words for him. And I remember sort of arriving and realizing I didn't have my knee pads at all. And this has happened quite a few times in matches with Minoru Suzuki and Jun Kasai and Pimpinella Escarlata, where you just go, it must be a sign that I'm not wearing knee pads, because I would ruin them if I wore someone else's. And I said, all right, well, I've got to commit to this. I don't know anyone in the locker room that well. I'm not going to borrow knee pads. And he came up and said, this is going to be ultra violence. And I said, I figured it would be ultra violence. And he said, he started listing off all the crazy things he was going to do. And I said, yeah, it's fine. He said, you didn't flinch, Effy. You didn't fucking flinch. And I think I jumped in all the way that night. I had no hesitation. I got cut open with all sorts of things, including beer bottles. And as I kind of look at, how far we've come, the brand of GCW, and just me and Nick and everyone involved, it was a good staple piece that people still talk about, where I kind of proved that, yeah, like I might just be in and out of here in 10 minutes with the cutest shit and a couple wild bumps, but I also might, risk my life and limb to get a hold of this thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I remember that match. It was insanity. And like, what's like your goals this year in wrestling? Is it to go back after that GCW World Title, or like what's like the goal for Effy in 2023?
Yeah, I think I lost a little of the motivation to go after the world title because it's on Nick, and it's, Nick's my buddy. I feel, comfortable in what I was doing financially and what I'm doing in there, with merch and with fans, that you sort of like almost have a blind eye to what's going on in the title picture. Yeah. And I think getting out of that comfort and safety zone is going to be a big move, and sort of planting my foot a little harder. I used to, believe that, hey, Effy speaks for itself, and if you don't get it, whatever that is. But I do feel a little more braggadocious this year about sort of putting my foot down and going like, yeah, I know, whether you'll say it out loud or not, but, I'm deserving of these things, and I've proven myself as a competitor, all across wrestling. beyond that though, and beyond sort of like staking the claim and being like, I'm kind of a permanent fixture now. I want to organize myself better. I feel like I'm losing a little efficiency, and it's also such a weird, novel thing to be in my position. Nobody's kind of guiding me along. I've got to jump in and use my business experience and use my brain and go, hey, yeah, you don't want to get up and do this right now, but if you do, you're going to have more money this month or more opportunities or something down the line that's better. I'm trying to jump on things quicker. I'm trying to have my version of organization. And I'm also trying to figure out how to hire a fucking assistant.
Oh, I mean, if you need one, I mean, I'm available. But
Explaining everything. The thing is, lovely and from a distance. I believe I was a great manager when I was in charge of a business, but I also believe that I'm like a little too efficient. Sometimes the Effy is for efficiency. Yeah. And so I can be chaotic and not explain things well, but also frustrated that you're not doing it the way I thought. I don't know if I'm fun to work for is what I'm getting at.
For sure. No worries at all. And the last two things I wanted to talk about was like looking back at like one of the bigger moments of like, I guess what wrestling fans would call like one of the biggest Effy moments last year. It was like this kiss with Jon Moxley at a GCW show. Like, did you expect the same reaction from like the Twitterverse or wrestling fans that you got, or did you expect something different?
Everybody who's going to talk shit about me has talked shit about me, and it's great. And get your clicks. I love it. It's adorable. I sometimes will get myself to the end of a sentence and I go, oh, you just gave him clickbait. And it's just because I kind of speak freely. I don't have a media coach. I studied public relations, but I sort of, I expect the worst. I expect the crisis, and it doesn't bother me emotionally or personally. There's a lot of people in wrestling, and I'm getting to the bigger point, that I feel like they're seeking something out in this business to make themselves feel complete.
For sure.
I feel like a complete human being. I love what I love. I enjoy things. I participate in the world. I very much enjoy telling stories, using pro wrestling. I know that about myself. I'm good at it. When you have a moment like that happen, you don't realize how far of a reach some guy has, like Jon Moxley. Yeah. I logged into Tumblr. It's everywhere. I logged on there. It's everywhere. And I'm going into the match going, I figure we're going to have a wrestling match. Maybe there's a cutesy moment. He's got a match with CM Punk in a week or two, or in a couple days. I don't know. Whenever he had it. Yeah. Maybe, we just listen to what he has to say. And of course, they want the Effy. Jon Moxley wants the Effy. He wants that experience. No matter who's going to be mad at him or who's pissed off, he's not logging into his Twitter. But you sort of, you see that you have at least a fingerprint on things, and that people are paying attention. And if we're invoking any kind of passionate response in wrestling these days, with the amount of media out there, with the amount of other things that are distractions from what we're doing, which is fine, it's worth taking the clicks. I've gotten click moments before. I know they work. Billy Dixon once said, Effy, you're a stunt. And luckily I'm a stunt who got pretty good at wrestling too, but the stunt is still in there, whether it's fighting a child, falling down a staircase, fucking on Jeff Jarrett a little bit. RIP to Jerry Jarrett, all love to Jeff. I'm glad he figured out how to get over. Effy got me over. Shirts available at effylives.com. Moxley's such a cool dude, and it felt like going out there to do, hey, brother, it's 1989, and we're going to just do 15 minutes for the guys, give them a quick main and go a little nuts. And I didn't think anything of it. I hope he didn't face any extra backlash over it, but I don't think he cares. But it does sort of, people get in trouble around me, and I've had this explained to me by my partner of, you don't really have any bosses and you have a freedom, but you're not really paying attention to the safety of others around you. And sometimes that can put us all in danger. And I was like, damn, you're right. I do feel a little bit like I put people in danger. And let me just clear it up for 2023. I don't give a fuck. I am danger. And that's the risk you take. You're going to get the clicks. You'll get the views. You'll get the sales. They'll want the meet and greet. But I'm raw. I'm Effy. I come as I am. I'm a loudmouth piece of shit. Not a piece, I used to be a piece of shit. I don't drink anymore. Now I don't steal artwork and scream at tow truck drivers. Jimmy said to me one time, he goes, you used to talk a lot of shit. And I hope to continue talking a lot of shit, because nothing gets done around these wrestling parts without us sort of either doing it ourselves or complaining enough that things are shifted. And I've seen enough beneficial shifts around me in particular performers and the way bookings are done, and people getting opportunities, where I go, okay, this is working in a way, and they're going to have to take the good with the bad, which is I'm sort of unhinged, and I'm sort of at 100 all the time.
Amazing, amazing. And the last question I want to ask you, Effy, you've done so much in your career so far. Obviously, everything GCW, you competed with the best of them, and you're one of the best yourself. You've done voice acting for Netflix. But I have one big question. I know a lot of people. What did you say?
I said crazy.
Yeah, crazy, right? Now, your career is insanity. If I had one big question, I know a lot of people ask this, but I still feel like I really want to know that answer. At any point, do you feel like you ever want to join one of those major companies like the WWE or AEW? Have you ever been contacted by one of these guys before, as of at least today?
My partner sent me a job opening on LinkedIn for an AEW marketing position, and he's like, stop acting so proud, just take the money and get the job. And part of him is right, but I also am of the belief that like this expression of me as Effy is sort of always going to be out here on the outskirts. If I get bored down the line, or I have an opening down the line and people want to work behind the scenes to sort of make a better situation, I hear a lot of the coaches on both sides sort of saying like, people don't come to us, people don't do this. Listen, you're the fucking coaches. Go get in their faces and make sure it makes sense. Go put a little on the line. Go make sure it's not just going to suck on TV, and try risks, try different things, pay attention to what's going on everywhere. And I feel like pro wrestling competes with pro wrestling right now. There's a formula that worked for a while really well, and now it works pretty good. Nobody is that over anymore. Even at the top of the tops, we're not getting, the viewership that we should be getting for the product we're putting out. And it's frustrating when like, okay, well, my hand can be silent from the outside and sneak in that way, but it would be nice to get that sort of like, see, I told you guys we could get to a lot more people, but it's going to take a bigger shift. And I've sort of taken the path of, hey, if I show you it works over here, maybe you'll do it at a bigger level on your own. Yeah. And I don't mind that path. I don't need the big thank you. I don't need the big, here's a trophy. What I want is to just see like, oh shit, you can actually affect this shit. And you actually did, exist not as a ghost, but outside of the system.
Of course. Effy, this has been amazing.
Hell yeah.
Good luck to the match this Friday. That's going to be dangerous, but I think it'll come out on the other end with the victory. Again, congratulations for the engagement, everything that's going on in your life right now. Where can I find you on social media?
Effy lives, EFFY, electric, fantastic, fuck you, lives, because they couldn't kill me. It was kill Effy for a long time. They couldn't kill me. EffyLives.com. Effy lives on Twitch. Effy lives on Instagram. Wrestlingisgay. If you want to buy Wrestling is Gay stuff, we have some cool, weird, fun graphic items on there. It's a blast. Thank you very much.
Effy, amazing. Guys, make sure to like, comment, share, always subscribe, and we're out.
We going up like 1,000. I'm a flex just like a muscle man Malcolm. We going up like 1,000. I'm a flex just like a muscle man Malcolm. When it just like 1, 2, 3. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. If you like the channel, this will squeeze.